what topic, what subject, what area, what experience that they are a part of, and that's how you introduce them. And then there are some people where the topic gets introduced, the subject gets introduced because of them. We are in the coaching space. So, knowing that, if I were to say one word, who comes to your mind? Shuttle. So, when a luminary like that is with us, जब मेरी हैसियत नहीं है उनका नाम ठीक से लेने में, तो मेरी औकात क्या है मैं उनको इंट्रोड्यूस करूं. He self-introduced the visionary sports coach, a shuttle champion. Please. Please, welcome. The औकात तो नहीं थी, but I got the privilege of uttering his name and welcoming him and shaking his hands, as I did with so many others. To have a fireside chat and understand sports coaching, the alternate areas in which coaching is practiced, can I invite Sudha to engage us and Mr. Gopichand into this conversation? Thank you.
And thrilled to have this session host Padmabhushan, Pullela, Gopichand. I think we couldn't have had a finale better than this. And I really, really thank Gopi. He's been busy traveling and very patiently waiting for the earlier session to get over. Thank you so much, Gopi, for coming and agreeing to come for the session in spite of your busy schedule. As Avinash said, right, we cannot introduce him enough, right? And we all know who he is. And today, in the time that we have together, we are hoping to deep dive into understand the evolution of sports coaching and also probably explore the intersections between high performance coaching in sports and professional coaching, thereby uncovering some insights which can probably help we coaches elevate our practice. Yeah? With that, Gopi, we all know that you were a champion player before you became a coach. You have been coached before, and now you've been coaching others. How has coaching evolved since you started your journey in badminton?
Thank you for having me here. For me, I've been very fortunate that in my life I had some great coaches. And it hasn't changed much in that sense. I was very fortunate. I had a coach called Hamid Hussain when I started off. He didn't teach me how to play badminton in that sense, but he made me love the sport and come to the stadium. And that was what he was. Very important. When I loved the sport and whatever because when I finished my playing career and I started to coach, I started to reflect on why I won the All England. Because when you put things in place, it didn't make sense that somebody who came with not the greatest of facilities, not the greatest of dreams or goals, how could he win? So when my students asked me they say connect the dots, I started to connect the dots backwards. And I could actually see a clear pattern. When I loved the sport, which was thanks to Hamid sir, and I wanted to play, I had a coach called Arif sir. Arif sir was a strict disciplinarian. So when you love it, when you want it, then you need discipline to grow. And he was that person. And when you're in that stage of discipline, want to win, then you need inspiration. And for me, it was Prakash Padukone, who won the All England in 1980, because without him having won it, I probably wouldn't have thought that, or we wouldn't have thought that Indians can win that big medal. So I think at that stage, inspiration was very important. And the last few years in my career, I had a coach called Ganguly Prasad. He wasn't a great badminton player himself. He wasn't one of those big names in coaching, nor had he produced some great results. But at that stage, later in life, he was more like a friend whom we could bounce off ideas. We could agree to have different viewpoints, but figured out ways and means of working together. So in my coaching career, I always look at it for a young kid, am I what Hamid sir was with me? Am I what Arif sir was with me? Can I provide the inspiration what Prakash sir gave? And can I be the kind of friend who Ganguly Prasad was? So for me, in some sense, I didn't have to go and read books. It was in my own journey that I could find my greatest coaching teams. So it hasn't changed much in that sense, but also I went abroad, learned under two good coaches for a very few short time. I had a Chinese coach called Wang Xiaomin who came to India between 91 and 93. He was phenomenally good. He treated me of the group the worst. Literally, he treated me. He almost showed to me how talent needs to be treated. Everybody would watch films in his, there was the VCR then, I'm talking about the 90s, many of you are much younger. So 91, 92, we used to have VCRs and
Yes.
he used to play those movies in his, and if he saw me, he had a shoe in his hand. Within the vicinity of his guest house, I was not allowed. And he always kept me when everybody said, when he would take singles match, he would say Gopi is a singles player. And in the evening, he would say, no, Gopi is a doubles player. He just kept me with him all the time. He protected me. He didn't let me go outside. So when I have young kids with talent, it reminds me of what he did to me. And there was another coach called Wang Suyan in Germany where I trained. A phenomenal guy. I spent very little time with him, but his heart was with me. As in, when I won the All England, when I won club matches, he would make the entire bar drink on my name. And I wasn't even German, I wasn't Chinese. I just was a player who played for his club. So I think it just meant the heart, the love, affection, the connection which I had with these coaches is what I try to replicate when I bring it down to coaching my students or whatever you say.
Wonderful. I think the words I'm taking back, and I'm sure coaches here did make a note. It's love, it's discipline, it's inspiration, being a friend, and giving freedom. And I think today you are trying to integrate all of that into your coaching based on who you coach. Thank you so much.
Till you put it that way, I didn't know I said so many words.
I know you have co-founded Match Day AI. Today we are talking a lot about AI, which uses artificial intelligence to analyze the player's performance. I just want to understand from you, how do you actually, balance between the traditional coaching wisdom and the modern technological advancements that you use?
Well, it's to scale, to remotely manage. It's good to have technology. To scale, to remotely manage, it's good to have. For me, I don't know how useful it is when I have trainees who are preparing, for example, if I were to talk about Saina or Sindhu or Pranoy or Satvik Chirag when they train and I'm training them, or Gayatri and Teresa. Literally, I know them. It's like then there's no need of technology for me in the sense I look them in the eye. I know. In fact, there was an article where they said um, the athlete said he knows how many times I go to the washroom. It's literally that way. So when I was younger, as a coach, when my students, this is like 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that time, I would be the one who would always give a wake-up call. I would be making them literally go, make them, put them inside their beds and wait outside so that they don't sneak outside after I sleep. So literally was doing that kind of stuff. Obsessed to minutely knowing or controlling every detail of an athlete, because that was is what performance is about. The the 6 hours of training or 9 hours or 8 hours of training doesn't help if the rest of the 16 hours are not in a way working towards the 6 hours of training. So it's very important that the entire 24 by 7 by 365 is under the control. It just feels obsessive, ridiculous, and almost like policing. But that's the only way I knew how to get those performances. And we've got those performances. So there's validation that it works. So when you see people from so close, when you're actually working with them from so close, I think whether he tells that he slept well or not using a ring or a machine or something, it doesn't make. But for an outside person, when he's looking at a group, then these questionnaires become important. These stats become important. If I'm not watching 5 or 10 matches, then I have a problem. But for many of all of my top players whom I focus on, I know each and every match of theirs, whatever they have played, what they have done, why they have played badly, everything I know. I take the help of technology to tell them that this is what it is. It's not my idea of what is wrong. It is scientifically validated that this is right, this is wrong for a reason. So for me, I think tech has a value there. Tech definitely has a value when you have to work with larger people. Tech definitely has a value if you have to remotely manage. And to scale, I think tech is important. But what in the tech you need to use is something again which needs human intelligence, which is at the moment at least not there with tech.
So I think the message is loud and clear. We use technology only when we are not present. That's what I'm hearing. Gopi uses it only when he's not present. Gopi, they say that mental conditioning plays a crucial role in an athlete's success. I understand that you have collaborated with IIT Kharagpur in developing training modules, which specifically focuses on the happiness and well-being of your players to enhance their performance and resilience. So, how is technology helping you and your players, especially to manage their stress, improve their focus, or even handle game day pressure?
I think it's both ways, right? So one of the things is we have these bands which tell you you're not ready. So the athlete is ready, but the band is telling you're not ready. He's saying HRV is there. So many of the athletes are also saying, boss, I don't want to keep this. So you just put it on the side. I don't want technology. I will just work by myself. So that's also a reality. Of course, we use it, whether it's HRVs or heart rates or whether it's sleep monitors or all of this stuff, we use them. But does it, intuition has a value. Wisdom has supreme value. You cannot bypass it and say that everything else is acceptable, kind of a thing. So today we have, happiness and all of this is what we're talking about, right? What needs to be remembered when it needs to be remembered. At that point of time, to remember what needs to be remembered is the most important thing. So you have hundreds of things going on. At that point of time, what is it that you're remembering is what is important. Now, it comes by a lot by internalizing what you have. To expect, and I know we are coaches there, but the reality is you want to produce not disciples, you want to produce masters. I think that's the job of coaches. It's about not having them dependent on anything. And to have that innate power that without any of these things, I will still make the right decision. And I will still know myself better. I think that is eventually where we need those athletes to be. Dependency on tech, dependency on coaching, is all has only a limited value. You want to be eventually getting a stage of supreme mental state where you're not dependent on anything. And the knowledge is innate, the wisdom, when it goes to a sphere outside of our known zones, still makes the right decision. And I think it's important that, I don't know if I'm articulate enough to convey that, but I think it's very important that we should not be dependent on coaching to that level. And earlier in my times, and I think this group is very young comparatively, but when I look at myself and our generation of people who've played cricket or marbles or any of those games, watching, imitating, and actually doing were key components. And we somehow tend to lose that element because everything needs to be coached now. And I think that's something we need to get back to a little bit. And I think to be able to do it without technology also in some sense is better, because then you're seeing and you're keenly observing and imitating. These are faculties which are very important. We should not lose these things because of technology. A coach should not be looking at notes and making his decision. It's important that you need to watch, you need to be there, and you need to feel it. And if you're not deep enough, you're not doing it. So it's not what... And one example which I can think of is when I'm sitting behind coaching a player, it's not what you say. It's what you feel which is important. The heart plays a more important role than the talk which you give. So I think it's very, very different. The same advice from same mannerisms by two different people have different values, because whether it comes from deep within or whether it comes from here makes a difference. So when you have coaches who are like busy writing down and putting things in, or are you looking keenly and watching, I think those faculties are very important.
I'm smiling because I was about to ask a question which I feel is redundant at this point of time. I was going to ask, are there any aspects where tech cannot replace human intuition? I think you have beautifully answered it already. Yeah, so I'll move to the next question. You have been coaching the millennial generation, then the Gen Z. Now Gen Alpha is entering the picture. What helps you to adapt and tailor your coaching to coach across generations?
I never wanted to coach for the first few years. Back in the day, when we are in some sense a little narrow-minded. We, as athletes, uh, we think that we work very hard. When we were playing, we always used to get up when the whole world is sleeping at 4:35 in the morning. We would go for a run, and then every time we're burning ourselves. We are missing out parties. We are missing out school, college fun. We are missing out social gatherings and festivals. So when we were in Bangalore and a bunch of friends, the common thing was, what would we do after we win something big? Thing was, I'll get up at 8 in the morning, have filter coffee, read newspaper, go to work at 11, work till 2 o'clock, come back, eat lunch, have a nap, and play golf in the evening. So this is what I expected life to be. But I took a bunch of young kids in Hyderabad and started coaching at Gachibowli Stadium when Gachibowli, this area, had nothing till Jubilee Hills. There was nothing in between. So at that point of time, we started in Gachibowli Stadium. Initially, I thought I'll employ somebody and I'll do something else in life, but not get up at 8. Slowly, the players I started to take care of. I remember we had a coach and we had a government fund of 10 lakhs which was given. So I employed a foreign coach, Tom John from England. He came and spent, within the first year, the money finished and the government didn't renew that funding. So I used to come at 8. I started coming at 7 because players started to do well, and 6 and then 5, and eventually I started to come till pandemic hit. My first session in the morning started at 4:15 in the morning. So literally it was like that. So I never went into coaching thinking that I will be a coach. I wanted my athlete to do well. I did whatever was necessary for them to do well. And for me, that changed the very perspective of how I looked at coaching. Because for me, as an athlete, we have the best life possible. And it's not because of the money or the fame or the good travel. And it's just because all your life questions are about one single point. Is this decision going to better my game? That's all it is. I'm eating something, is it good for my sport? I'm going somewhere, is it good for my sport? That's all it is. So life is super focused and very, very good. When I started coaching, this was a big problem because I had only thought about myself in the entire thing. It almost becomes self-improvement, self-centered, selfish, becomes the nature of somebody who's been treated himself like that over time. So that's why they say great players can't be great coaches, because the innate quality is me, 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 me. One day I sat down and I just put the mirror on the other side. Whatever is good for the athlete, I will do. And everything instantaneously changed. And I think that for me is the decision. So when generations come by and different people come by, whatever is good for them, I will do. I don't have a style of my own. And whatever is the style which works for them is what will work for me. I think that is how I've adapted myself. So there's no, I could be training somebody like a Pranay or a Shrikant who are world number 1. Shrikant is a world number 1. Pranay is a Asian Games World Championship medalist. The 30 years, 32 years, I haven't spoken more than a word of instruction to them ever. I say, do this, chup chap bhaiya bola hai, karenge. That's all they say. I call a 6-year-old now, ask him to run 2 rounds. He will say, I'm playing badminton. Why do I need to do 2 rounds? So there is a difference. I don't say there is no difference, but you have to deal with each generation. And the best thing is you should not have your style. Whatever works for the athlete, you have to do is the style which you should have.
I know there are so many coaches who work in your academy. In fact, I think many of them are coached by you as well. What competencies would you tell them to develop to stay relevant in the next decade?
What competence? See, for us, right, I'm sure it's different, although coaches are same, but the word is the same, but different. For me, the best things come out when the coaches are given a responsibility and they see themselves becoming better because of the athletes becoming better because of them. If that bond is strong enough, if the why is strong, then the how will figure itself out. There's so much of knowledge which is available. If you really want the player to improve, you will just go find, Google it, search it, you will YouTube it, you will go find the people to mentor the coach. They will figure it out. It's about how strongly motivated you are. The question is not about education, it is more about motivation. So you diagnose the problem as an education problem or a motivation problem. If the why is strong, the how will figure itself out. So for me, how do I make them bonded to love the student? That's all for me the job is. The how will figure it out self out, they'll educate themselves out. So that would be important. The second thing which generationally I have seen in, I think, there's so much more abuse now than in the previous generation. There's so much now for people's validation, because especially athletes, right? You play and you go to a social media thing. There is abuse. Very easy for a person to comment very loosely about performance. So I am telling my coaches, failure is okay. Even if you don't appreciate them, where will they go? Where will they find? So I would be very, very careful about any kind of negative talk from the coach now than before. Before it was okay. Before the generation was also a little different, it was okay. You would whack them a little bit and they're okay with it. Now I think it's important that there always already so much of abuse happening. So you just want to be careful, protect them, say nice things, it's okay. And from that, they have to love doing this, because what is happening is that if they don't love doing this, they're giving up easily. They're not there in uncomfortable positions long enough. So I think somehow make them love this and see the value of this is, I think, very, very important. So for me, it's a lot of emotion and that connect. And one thing which when we were speaking, it was important that connection before correction. I think that's an important thing. We should work on the connection strongly before the correction happens. So it's a very important thing. So just take a lot more time, spend time, understand them. And then at that moment, if you dil se chahte hai, to ho jayega. That's what I would think.
You know, the other day when you mentioned about, you know, the connection before correction, you also spoke about trust, right? I wanted to understand, in this high-tech, high-pressure environment when you train, right? How do you maintain the trust, empathy, and this connection with your athletes?
I think it's from a coach's side, and even I've had experiences where top players have left, and it just hurts big time that you've nurtured somebody for 10, 15 years. You spent more time on them than your own family, and then suddenly there's betrayal happening or something. Then you feel a lot of hurt within you. I think to erase those things quickly and believe that the person is not at fault, the next one is not going to do the same. I think these are very, very important things. To start off again and to actually do that over and over again is important. And I've said this and I've been very fortunate that I'm dumb. I'm not smart enough, because if you're smart enough, you wouldn't have picked sport as a career. Because the chances of you winning, if you put the numbers on paper, it's not good enough. In a similar sense, coaching is also like that. You know sometimes that the result is going to be not always the greatest, but you should be smart enough to shut off that element of doubt and believe that this is going to be different. And I think it's very important that we keep doing that over and over again without the expectation of getting anything. I think that would be the important thing in the trust, to kind of give it all you have, and then the other side will come. But if you hold back, I don't think trust is happening. You just have to uh, give it all you have.
Gopi, has there been a moment where you felt tested as a coach? You felt really tested as a coach. And what did you learn from that experience?
I think sport, you're tested literally every day. With every student you're tested, right? So you're sitting on this side, somebody is playing a shot, a coach is sitting behind them, an analyst is sitting behind them. So on this side, you are tested. You lose, you win, you go back. The next time, it's your competency of able to change the athlete and make him better and challenge again. So I think it happens every time. This is like fundamental. It's like you're tested. You have to be on your toes. This is a high pressure job. Um, you have players testing you, your own players testing you, you have other coaches testing you, you have the administration testing you, you have the people testing you. So testing is like normal. It is like it's day in and day out. And not with one. I could succeed with Pranoy and Srikanth and Satvik and Gayatri, but I'm not successful with another 3 players. So I am tested for my bad results. I'm looked at for my bad results, not for my good results as well. So it's a tough job. It's one of, mentally they say, right, the football manager's job is one of the most stressful jobs. They have the most divorces in the world are from football managers or coaches. So obviously there is, but the thrill which you have, the joy which you have of seeing your athlete do well, I think makes up for it. But testing wise, yes, there is.
And especially since we're talking about testing, in moments of defeat, how do you manage emotions, especially of yours and also your players as a coach?
I think it's important. If somebody is not crying, you should make them cry. If somebody is crying, you should make them laugh. I think it's both ways are important. I think for somebody who's not feeling the pinch of the loss, they should feel the pinch of the loss. You should remind them of the loss for them to train harder. For somebody who's already critical of himself, it's important to loosen that. So there's no one size fits all model. It is very individual, and unless you see them from close, you're not able to give those answers. But one thing which would be important is that I would never normally want to discuss failure immediately after the event happens. You always end up having some kind of a negative reactions immediately afterwards. So they know they've lost. I know they've lost. They know why they've lost. I also know why they've lost. Make those changes in the routine, and the next time they win, they come back to the same situation with a sense of, I have become better. And they will admit their mistakes then, but not at the time when you actually pose the questions of defeat and failure and analyze it. It normally evades that question. You're not getting the right answers. They would typically say, आंख में लाइट गिर गया, opponent cheating कर रहा था, मेरा coach अच्छा नहीं है, मेरा play shuttle अच्छा नहीं है. So that's the kind of input. But once you change that, and 2 months later he wins a tournament and he's saying, I wish I had slept better that night. My food wasn't good. I should have not played that shot. They would admit it, but with a sense of, I'm better kind of a thing. I've accomplished and I've overcome it. So that is a strength. That's a positive thing. Whereas when you analyze defeat immediately, it's a negative thing which happens. You have to be kind of careful about doing it immediately after a defeat.
What is your definition of success as a coach?
Many of the times we equate winning with success. That is not the case. That's the worst thing which can happen. If people do wrong things and win, in their mind it is acceptable to do the wrong things to win. I think that's the worst kind of thing. If I were to ask God something, it's only this. When they do the wrong thing, punish them immediately. Don't give them a win. Because that's something which is very important. So winning and success are two different things. And as athletes, right, so you could train somebody in a maths class and everybody will get 100%. There is a chance if you have good coaches and a lot of time, everybody in class can get 100% marks. But if you do a running race, how much ever time you have, everybody can't win. Only one will win. The rest are going to lose. So I think the innate nature of sport is I deal a lot more failure than success. So for me, I think it would be very important that the process, getting better in the process, to learn from your wins, to learn from your failures, and bettering the process, and have joy and success and happiness on the route, and to actually become role models for the generations to come, and the culture of the place. I think these would be my points of success rather than winning, because winning is not going to happen. Even if my team 5 people play the tournament, if one wins, the other 4 are going to lose. So winning by definition in sport cannot be success. You want the process, you want the culture, you want more energy when they come back the next day morning to learn from that tournament and be better the next time. I think that process to keep continuously doing, I think for me that is what is success.
Wonderful. I'm just wanting to check how are we doing on time.
You can take all the time you want. When have you ever seen so much of gold being showered on us?
I missed my flight before this one.
So, across all the champions that you have coached so far, what is that one belief that you have held on, which has worked for you across technology, across generations?
I think to show up no matter what. I think that is a very important thing. The second thing which I would say is do the worst first. Face your fears up front. Those are qualities which I think you can see when the younger is said. In the sense you have a bad training, you have you have salad or you have bitter gourd or something, and they would say, okay, give me that first, I'll finish it off. You have a training which is 400 meters, which is a killer of a training. They would say, I would do it first thing in the morning on Monday. I won't postpone till Saturday because if I have to do it once in the week, I want to do it upfront there. So I think facing fears, to stay in an uncomfortable position but show up each time and not ready to give up. I think these are two qualities. To forget about everything else when they are on court. This is a very important quality as well, because some of them would have bad family backgrounds. There's abuse happening, or it just doesn't bother in the sense, no, they're on court, every other worry is shut off. I think those qualities are innately there. Somebody who's not bothered about external environment when they come onto court. They're able to face those fears. These are very, very good qualities. But for me, the more I've done this entire circle, I'm still and trying to instill it to the students. You're not going to be successful all the time. You don't have to feel miserable after losses. Perfection is not going to happen. The road to perfection has to be filled with fun, joy, celebrations, and we have to move in that direction happily. I think that's an important takeaway for me personally, in the sense, I always used to cry when I've lost matches. As my students have lost matches, I have cried. I just realized that it's not necessary. You can still do it without crying. It's okay. And somewhere in our psyche also, no, it's like when I lose and I'm okay, it's not acceptable. We have to feel miserable after a loss. I think you don't have to feel miserable after. It's okay. And I think for me, I think today when I've done this entire circle, I would still say it's not worth it. I could have still done it without the crying. I could have done the entire journey without. But with the same learnings and the same passion. When you're on court, whatever you achieve, you have to be hungry for more. You have to be thirsty for more. You have to be wanting more and more. But when you're outside the court, whatever you have to be grateful for what you have. I think that perspective and shift is what is very critical.
You know, earlier you shared that you never wanted to be a coach and you were looking forward to get up 8 o'clock in the morning. I know that has never happened. Even today you get up at 4:30, I know that. What keeps you going? What do you look forward for?
Nothing. Nothing. Honestly, nothing. I just love what I do. I don't know how long I'll do it. I'm grateful to be in the place where I am. And I know that the day I finish doing this, wherever I am, I'll be very satisfied with the work which I have done. So I'm just there. It's okay. And I've never been somebody who dreamt or wrote my goals in some sense. But if I had written, I'm sure they would have not been as big as what I've achieved. So I don't want to risk it. I know it's a little different perspective probably than what is typically said, but this is how my life has been. Every step I climbed, I saw the next step possible. And I climbed it and I kept climbing. So it's like, so God's grace, I'm here. I just feel whatever is there at the end of the day, um, God's been kind, and God's grace I've got where I am. So I'm not typically in that sense. I wrote a math exam and I failed that exam, and I got to play another year, and that's how things changed in my life. I went to join for cricket because I broke window panes in my house, and my mom took me to the stadium to join cricket, and cricket admissions were full. And my mom took me to the tennis court, and tennis, she later told me that had too many cars parked outside, and they made me join badminton because it was empty. So I just feel was God's grace. It's just that it's His destiny that I travel these paths. So yeah, I've traveled. God's been kind. Life's been good. Can't
I
complain.
know. I know those days you're saying the badminton court was empty, but I know today, because of you, there are so many number of courts that's come in Hyderabad. And I think, if I'm not wrong, Hyderabad has a large number of courts because of you, Gopi. Yeah. Okay, I know there are a lot of people here who really wish they were sitting here, and I was just representing all of you. Hope I could ask the questions that some of you wanted to ask, but I'm sure there are more which probably I didn't ask, which you would like to ask, Gopi. So I just probably, yeah, we will. Can we pass on the mic to the gentleman there?
Sir, thank you so much for your contribution to the sport as well as the country. One of the pointers I loved from what you shared was that to feel for your athletes, and you say you come out of intuition and wisdom. Is there any specific preparation that you do with yourself, or a philosophy or a belief that enables that on a continuous basis?
Well, I spend a lot of time meditating as well. I think it's important. Understanding is important. But the more you know, you realize that there's a lot more which you don't know. So I cannot in any which sense say that I know it, because there's so much more. And also, I've gone a particular route with so much of conviction that many years later I realized that it was absolutely wrong. So I can't even say what I'm saying is 100% right. So there is, so today this is what I feel it is what I would go with. I won't commit that this is what I'll feel later in my life. But I think the more calmer you are, uh, the more relaxed you are, uh, I think the right decision will come to you. Come to you. It's not with you, but it will come to you. And that's the way it is designed. Yeah. I get that relaxed, calm state, and the decisions will come. The answers are there. They will find you.
I think
It's
we have.
phenomenal. The whole day, what we have discussed is different, and this covered the entire coach's journey, and all nothing from theory or books, his own actual experiences. I still remember in pop singer Smita's show, I had him fully, and the same thing he said: if you work hard, you focus, and you have the discipline, you will achieve what you want to achieve. And I can resonate that the true story is show, if you remember, sir, you were there. Singer Smita's show.
Smita, oh yeah.
Thank you so very much. It's reinforced our belief in that what you do with dedication and passion, you will succeed with joy. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you something on the contrary. I've seen so many players who worked really hard and not make it. This is also the reality of life and sport. Since I won the All England, I get to sit here and give you gyan. That's also the reality. To believe, to work, and to push is what we have in our hands. but to actually, because there's so many people, few people who've crossed on the other side. So the people who've crossed on the other side can say whatever they feel is right, and we have to believe that they are right. No. I think it's a play of circumstances. It's nature, it's God's grace. And I remember, I think some of you have, in Andhra, there's a place called Chirala, coastal Andhra. There's to be a lady called Jillalamudi Amma. Jillalamudi Amma. Amma said these words, which says, the hard work, dedication, and the work ethic which you show is the outer manifestation. But the inspiration and the impulse to do it also comes from the divine. So, what is it that you are actually thinking is of your own? I think this is the key point. I decided to get up in the morning and train hard and not give up is also coming from the divine. So, what are we owning? I think is something, it's a big question mark. So, I think to say me, my decision, my hard work is also not my own. The impulse and inspiration comes from behind. I don't know where that is and what it is. You need somebody else in my journey. But I think those words resonate very strongly. Because having seen thousands of people train, you realize that not the most hardworking, not the most dedicated is winning. It's not. It's when they win, we put all these things together into a fancy story and say it. But there's so many more who have actually done that work and probably not made it. Surely not made it. Not all of them have made it. And it's not their fault. It is just the way things are designed. So somewhere maybe it's an opening balance of what you're born with. Maybe it's the circumstances. Somebody comes up, and I was sitting there at the Olympics, and I went to Maleshwari's room at 5 in the morning, and I say, I want to see your medal. That was the inspiration for me. But to see that medal, the thought to get up and go in the morning also was from somewhere. So I think there's a lot of things which are not in our control, which are more important, which we need to recognize and not take credit for. That's all I would say.
Very humble, very brilliant insights. I hope you can hear me anyway. So thank you for this very, very brilliant.
Kids, and there's a lot of talent. I'm not excited because that's not a rare commodity. There's a lot of people with talent. I think talent with hard work and grit, and that is what is important. So when I see young kids, I'm saying in my mind, I wish they can see what I can see. Because I see the potential, they can't, and they wither it away, and it goes. And despite the best of my efforts or all efforts, it is not. And I know who was there, Jaya, right, who was speaking, talked about Krishna found Arjuna. I think Jai Shri, right? Jai Shri was talking about. Yeah, I think the right coach has to find the right student. And that combination is what makes world beaters. Out of so many people, he only picked Arjuna. And yeah, it's not possible that he also said the same message to a lot of them, but a lot of them didn't get it. So I think that's the way it is, in the sense, out of so many people, you find the right guy, you invest time in it, and it manifests as something wonderful, and you're happy with it. But the same message to many other people will not work. So that's okay. It's what can we do?
You gotta be willing to let go of that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Because especially in sports, I mean, when I've seen sometimes in the politics, etc., gets to people and disillusions them. But I'm hearing
So
thank
many
you.
of that, it is about, and I said this word, right? To shut the outside noise and come back and train the next day morning, and to show up with that, that is important, to show up. Thank you.
All right. So, you have a question? Okay. Gopi says, Christian, you're not allowed.
Gopi, actually, when I walked in, and I continue to assume that you're a sports coach, but the way you actually came across today looks like you're like a executive coach, or your presence, you have no agenda. A lot of these stuff that you told today very much resonates with the life of a coach, with my limited experience. So, like how Krishna coached Arjuna, I had Sudha coaching me as a guinea pig at home during the COVID time. So, reversal happened. Krishna got coached by Sudha. But I picked up a few things from what coaches do, and I actually see you like a relationship coach, executive coach, leadership coach, and stuff like that today. So, my question is probably when you said one day you will probably stop doing what you're doing, would you like to also become a leadership coach, life coach?
No plans as such. I have never planned things in my life in that sequence, but no, I think sport is about life. It's just that um, the emotions, like exams happen once a year for a student. For a sports guy, it's happening literally morning, evening, literally. So I think it just concises the entire thing into a small framework, and the range of emotions are much more. So I think it's like a crash course happening very quickly. So yeah, it's about human performance, whether it's sport or whether it's business or whether it's student or anything. I think it's about human performance and stress and how to shut the outside noise and focus on the things and to remember the right things at the right time. What is your first response to things? I think these are the fundamentals of life. And what is it that you see food, and if you're looking at food and saying it's health or taste, if health is your first response, then you're sorted. If taste is your response, you're not. If you're wearing clothes and if it's comfort versus style, if first response is comfort, then you're sorted. If it's style, then you're messed up. If you're in a relationship and whether you want to win or if it's the relationship is more important, if you think relationship is more important, then you're sorted. If you think winning the argument is important, you're not sorted. I think what comes up as a first response in difficult times and in stressful points, I think that is the most important thing. And it's only the scale which goes up. At the highest point, will you still have that integrity and have the first response of truth and hard work and discipline and gratitude, or whether it's like, let me cheat and let me get over the next person. I think those kind of things are important, and how you're not going to corrupt yourself at every level, I think is important.
Wow.
The last question and we can finish, please.
Yes.
Yeah, Geeta.
I think Gopi just allows things to unfold. Yeah, if I know him.
I think things unfold and opportunities come, and you just have to be open and take them and not be afraid. So the three things which a dear friend of mine, Pradeep, says, you have to be careful of three kinds of corruptions: tan, man, and dhan. I know many of you might have heard it, not heard it, I don't know. One is the physical corruption of money and stuff you have to be very careful of. That's a bad thing. The second thing is the bodily corruption. You have an innate ability to work harder physically, put more work hours, and you're not doing it. That's a form of corruption you should be always aware of. Check the boxes if you're in that space where you're being corrupt or not. And the third one is the mental corruption. You have the ability to build something which is big, world class, best in class, and you're shying away from doing it. You're a visionary who can build the best institutions in the world, and you have the capability and you're shying away from it. That's also a highest form of corruption. So if you're able to sort yourself in these three things, I think a lot of life is sorted. Because these things make you rest but not rest. They're always saying you need to push physically, you need to push mentally, you need to not be corrupt at the basic level. I think this for me not to relax this is the only problem. Once I know this, then you're not relaxed. You're saying, okay, don't want to do this. No, this is the problem. So you want to be careful that you're not corrupt at tan, man and dhan levels. And to always keep ticking those boxes would be very important in journey. And you want to be careful, and that's what makes life difficult. Yeah, thanks.
Together. Yeah, I could see everybody here with Gopi. Thank you for being such a wonderful, wonderful audience throughout the session. Thank you, Gopi. I think this will be remembered by all the coaches, because we have coaches who have traveled all over from India today. And I think some of them came just especially for you.